Welcome. Today, we dive into the fascinating world where artificial intelligence meets poetry. Imagine computers not just analyzing, but actually creating poetic texts. This journey explores how neural networks, inspired by the human brain, can generate verses that mimic the style and rhythm of famous poets. We'll see how technology and literature blend, opening new doors for both creativity and analysis. Whether you're a tech enthusiast or a lover of words, this story will show you how distant reading and AI are reshaping our understanding of literature. Let's begin our exploration of neural poetry magic. Neural networks are computer models inspired by the way our brains work. They consist of layers of interconnected nodes, or neurons, that process information and learn patterns from data. Originally developed in the 1940s, these networks have become powerful tools for tasks like image recognition, speech processing, and as we'll see, even poetry generation. Unlike traditional programming, neural networks learn from examples, making them especially suited for creative tasks where rules are not always clear. This ability to learn and adapt is what makes them so exciting for literary applications. Machine learning, the broader field that includes neural networks, has transformed how we approach literature. Instead of reading one book at a time, researchers can now analyze massive collections of texts, uncovering patterns and trends invisible to the naked eye. This approach, known as distant reading, allows us to model styles, genres, and even predict literary outcomes. By feeding large datasets into neural networks, we can train them to recognize and reproduce the unique features of different authors or periods, making the study of literature more data-driven and expansive. Distant reading is a revolutionary method in literary studies. Instead of focusing on close, detailed analysis of a single text, distant reading examines large bodies of work to identify overarching trends and features. This method relies heavily on computational tools, making it possible to process and visualize data from thousands of books. Neural networks fit perfectly into this paradigm, as they can model and generate text based on vast training samples. Distant reading doesn't replace traditional analysis. It complements it, offering new perspectives on style, genre, and literary evolution. Generate poetry. A neural network needs to be trained on a large collection of texts. The bigger and more diverse the training sample, the better the network can capture the nuances of style, vocabulary, and rhythm. For example, training on millions of characters from classical poetry allows the AI to learn not just words, but also meter and structure. This process is computationally intensive, requiring powerful hardware and careful preparation of the data. The result is a model that can produce new, stylistically consistent poetic texts. One of the most famous demonstrations of AI poetry involved training a neural network on the works of William Shakespeare. The resulting texts, while sometimes nonsensical, often captured the rhythm, vocabulary, and dramatic flair of the bard's originals. The AI-generated lines included character names, poetic forms, and even mimicked the structure of Shakespearean dialogue. This experiment showed that neural networks could not only imitate surface features, but also evoke the deeper stylistic essence of a literary giant. Let's look at a Russian example. A neural network trained on a massive corpus of translated ancient hexameter poetry. Think Homer, Ovid, and Virgil. The AI produced verses that not only followed the strict metrical patterns of hexameter, but also included stylistic features like epithets and classical imagery. Sometimes, the network invented new words that sounded authentic, blending creativity with imitation. These experiments highlight the AI's ability to grasp and reproduce complex poetic forms, even in languages with rich literary traditions. AI poetry isn't limited to the classics. When trained on the works of contemporary poet Natalia Azarova, the neural network generated verses that echoed her unique style, fragmented, lyrical, and evocative. The AI captured her use of imagery, sound, and even her tendency to break grammatical rules for poetic effect. These results suggest that neural networks can adapt to a wide range of poetic voices, from ancient epics to modern experimental verse, offering new ways to study and appreciate literary diversity. While neural networks excel at reproducing style and meter, they struggle with narrative coherence. For instance, when trained on the works of Russian bard Vladimir Vysotsky, the AI generated verses that sounded authentic but often lacked a clear storyline. The network could mimic emotional intensity and characteristic phrases, but it couldn't maintain a consistent plot or logical sequence of events. This limitation highlights the difference between surface-level imitation and deep narrative understanding, a challenge that remains at the frontier of AI creativity. AI-generated poetry often blurs the line between authentic style and parody. Like a skilled imitator, The neural network reproduces recognizable features of the original author's voice, sometimes exaggerating them to the point of parody. This raises intriguing questions. When does imitation become satire? Can a machine-generated poem ever be truly authentic? These experiments challenge our assumptions about authorship, creativity, and the boundaries of literary art, inviting us to rethink what it means to write and read poetry. From a philosophical perspective, AI poetry can be seen as a form of deconstruction. By breaking down and reassembling the elements of poetic tradition, neural networks offer a fresh lens on what poetry is and can be. The process removes the author's personal intent, focusing instead on the collective features of a genre or period. This approach, inspired by thinkers like Derrida and Latour, encourages us to explore poetry as a system of patterns and connections, rather than a singular act of expression. One of the most exciting outcomes of neural poetry is the way it bridges close and distant reading. Traditionally, close reading involves detailed analysis of a single text, while distant reading looks at large-scale patterns. With AI-generated poetry, we can apply close reading techniques to synthetic texts that represent entire genres or periods. This synergy allows scholars to test hypotheses about style, meter, and language in new, data-driven ways, enriching both literary theory and creative practice. Rise of AI poetry has both technical and cultural implications. Technically, it pushes the boundaries of what machines can learn and create, driving advances in deep learning and natural language processing. Culturally, it challenges our ideas about creativity, originality, and the role of technology in the arts. As neural networks become more sophisticated, they offer new tools for writers, researchers, and educators, sparking debates about the future of literature in a digital age. Despite impressive achievements, AI poetry has clear limitations. Neural networks excel at reproducing style and form, but they struggle with meaning, coherence, and emotional depth. Future research aims to address these challenges, combining advances in AI with insights from linguistics, psychology, and literary theory. As technology evolves, we may see even more sophisticated models capable of generating poetry that resonates on both technical and emotional levels, further blurring the line between human and machine creativity. In conclusion, the intersection of artificial intelligence and poetry marks a new frontier in both technology and the arts. Neural networks offer powerful tools for exploring, imitating, and even reinventing literary traditions. While challenges remain, the potential for discovery and innovation is immense. As we continue to experiment with AI-generated poetry, we not only expand our understanding of literature, but also redefine what it means to create and appreciate art in the digital age. Thank you for joining this journey into the world of neural poetry magic.